Good morning to one and all present today in this science class. Once again, I welcome you back on behalf of Sunbeam Academy. As per the COVID situations, and if you would have got the news headlines as well, that is, our government has already issued the notice regarding the reopening of the schools or the opening up of the schools basically for your 6th to 8th as well as for 1 to 5th year. So when we are talking about classes 1 to 5th or 6 to 8, so as per the instructions given by the government is that is your 6 to 8 is opening from uh, 10th of February, whereas 1st to 5th is opening from 1st of March here. So since the guidelines have been issued by the government, so now it is completely the whole sole responsibility of the district officer or the district head, that is your DM, our Kaushal Raj, okay, Sharma, I hope, Kaushal Raj Sharma. So he is the one who is going to now give the orders regarding the opening, and I hope he would have given as well, or he would be giving it within 1 or 2 days. Till then, most of the schools, they have already prepared themselves for reopening, as in IHS the messages has been circulated that is 6 to 8 is going to open from 12th, whereas in DPS, that is your Delhi Public School, it is going to be opened from 6 to 8 only. I'm talking about from 16th, whereas in our school, most probably the session is the classes for 6 to 8 is going to start from 10th. Okay, so let us just wait and just hope for the best, and let's see what is going to happen in the coming future. Starting with our this, let us complete our syllabus as soon as possible. Okay, if you are able to observe here, that is what are the things which are present here or what we have done in the last class. Okay, so in the last class we have completed most probably the discussions of the natural disaster, the very last chapter. Okay, so here this is the annual portion, that is from October to November, simple machines, air and water and rocks and minerals, whereas from December to January we have the sun, the earth and the moon, whereas changes in our environment and natural disaster. These are the three chapters which are there. Since almost all the chapters we have completed, we have only these four: rocks and minerals, sun, earth and the moon, changes in our environment and natural disasters, and only this part, that is last part, we are going to complete it today. That is most probably drought is the last topic, followed by your emergency kit and everything, and that's it. This will be the conclusion of the entire syllabus along with the question answers and everything. So if we go ahead with this, so what we have here is that is okay, flood we have done. Okay, here it is your drought. Okay, till cyclone we have discussed in the last class also. I have told you that is what are the things, what is a cyclone, that is when the strong storm और आंधी जब पानी के ऊपर मतलब नदी के ऊपर या फिर समुद्र के ऊपर आ जाए, तो that is known as your cyclone here. Okay, so the basic thing, that is drought, we have to start the introduction or the basic things regarding the drought, that also has been shared to you if you remember. Sorry. Okay, so drought is what? सूखा, हिंदी में हम बोलते हैं सूखा, और as we pronounce it here, so droughts you can say, drought or droughts, ठीक है, जनरली जैसे बोल रहा है वैसे ही बोलिए, droughts. These are long periods of little or no rainfall in a region. During a drought, water bodies dry up and crops fail to grow. This leads to shortage of food. As all of us we know, that is plants, they require water as one of the materials, raw materials for preparing their own food by the process of photosynthesis. अगर आपको याद हो तो मैं यहाँ पे आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा, और मोस्ट प्रोबेबली शायद दिखाया भी होगा. Evaporation, ozone layer description, evaporation, and not there. Alright, do we have anything related to this? Alright, leave it. So if we talk about the important things or the requirements of the plants for preparing their food, so we have here, that is the most important things like your in the case of whenever we are talking about photosynthesis, okay, as photosynthesis is the only process by which plants are able to prepare their food. So in this, the very first material, that is water, is being utilized along with your carbon dioxide, and these two things together make up, or basically they give here, that is your glucose. Okay, this glucose is nothing but the food of the plants, and plus oxygen is also given out. Okay, that is the life sustaining gas which is being utilized by us here. Okay, so whenever we are discussing about photosynthesis, that is water combines with carbon dioxide, water plus carbon dioxide gives glucose plus food. Glucose, that is food, and plus oxygen as well. So as you know that this water is the main requirement of the plant for preparing their food, and if plants are not able to prepare their food, then sorry, if plants are not able to prepare their food, then the we will also not get the food, as we consume the foods prepared by the plants only. तो जब प्लांट लोग अपना ही खाना नहीं बना पा रहे हैं तो हम लोग को खाना कहाँ से मिलेगा? So as a result of the droughts, when there is no rainfall for a longer period of time, then in that case plants are not able to grow, plants are not able to make their own food, and as a result of which the crops they fail to grow, या सूखा पड़ जाता है, या एकदम से कोई भी क्रॉप का प्रोडक्शन नहीं होता है, और इसके वजह से फूड की शॉर्टेज हो जाती है और फूड के दाम भी बढ़ जाते हैं, क्योंकि जो लोग स्टोर करके रखे रहते हैं तो क्या करते हैं, उसे फिर वो उस समय का सबसे ज़्यादा फायदा उठाते हैं और उसको हाई प्राइसेस में बेचते हैं. If you would have remember one of the incidents I would like to share here, that is when this COVID-19 was started, that is initially when this COVID-19 period or this pandemic situation started, so most of the shopkeepers, what they started doing, they started selling the articles at higher prices, and it was sorry, it was what you can say, that is since the customers or we the people did not had any other options, so they took a lot of advantage. But in spite of taking the advantage, afterwards the government became quite strict enough to take the actions regarding these shopkeepers and everything, and as a result of which they came back to their original prices of the goods and stopped their habit of selling the goods at higher prices than marked here. Okay, next is, that is since the shortage of food occurs here, okay, so when severe scarcity of drinking water and food leads to starvation among human beings and animals, okay, the condition is called famine, okay, or famine. So drought and famine, basically both of them, they are very much common. Okay, why they are very much common here? Because जब फूड नहीं रहता है, फूड क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि पानी नहीं है. पानी कहाँ से आता है? ऊपर से ही आता है, ठीक है, जब बारिश होती है. लेकिन क्योंकि बारिश नहीं हुई है तो द लेवल ऑफ अंडरग्राउंड वाटर इट कीप्स ऑन डिक्रीजिंग. और मैंने आपको लेवल ऑफ अंडरग्राउंड वाटर के ऊपर मैंने आप लोग को बोला भी था कि आप लोग अपने पेरेंट्स से डिस्कशन करिए, सो दैट यू विल कम टू नो दैट व्हाट वाज द लेवल ऑफ वाटर इन देयर टाइम्स इन आवर ओन सिटी वाराणसी, एंड व्हाट इज द लेवल ऑफ वाटर in our own city now. Okay, so in this way I'm sorry, so in this way, that is, food scarcity has already been there, as no crop production has occurred, and when water scarcity also occurs, like scarcity basically means shortage, कमी, ठीक है. तो जब food और water दोनों की कमी हो जाती है and people start doing starvation मतलब भूखा रहना, that is, this starvation among the human beings and animals starts. This condition is known as your famine. And how we have to prepare ourselves, that is, how to prepare ourselves for a drought condition. We should conserve water by practicing rainwater harvesting and building water reservoirs. ठीक है, इस समय ये बहुत ज़्यादा प्रैक्टिस में है, क्योंकि we all, not only this, that is, each and every country is facing the environmental problems related to water conservation, water pollution, air pollution, and various other problems are there. सो वी शुड कंजर्व वाटर बाय प्रैक्टिसिंग रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग। मतलब हम अगर वैसे पानी को नहीं बचा पा रहे हैं तो कम से कम जो रेन वाटर अकर करता है उसको तो कम से कम बचा सकें। कैसे बचाएंगे? We used to put one of the pipes, okay, at the corner of our house, which takes the rainwater directly into the surface of the earth or below the ground। ठीक है, वो ग्राउंड के अंदर हम उस पाइप को इंसर्ट कर देते हैं और बरसात का जितना भी पानी रहता है वो छत से होते हुए क्या रहता है, पूरा का पूरा ग्राउंड में चला जाता है। एंड देयर बाई द अंडरग्राउंड वाटर और द लेवल ऑफ द अंडरग्राउंड वाटर गेट्स रिचार्ज्ड। ओके, बट if we do not practice this rainwater harvesting, in that case what occurs is that is the entire water goes into our drainage system। ठीक है, नालियों में चला जाता है और नाली में जाने की वजह से क्या रहता है, पूरा का पूरा वो साफ पानी भी गंदा हो जाता है। ओके, the next we have here is that is we should develop proper irrigation system for our agricultural land। ठीक है, हमें लगता है कि हम बहुत पानी वेस्ट करते हैं, ठीक है, हमसे ज़्यादा पानी गांव वाले वेस्ट करते हैं, बट दे हैव सम बेटर फैसिलिटीज और बेसिकली यू कैन से दैट इज सिंस दे डू नॉट हैव अ प्रॉपर ड्रेनेज सिस्टम, तो उनका पानी कहीं ना कहीं किसी पॉन्ड में ही जाता है, खेतों में ही जाता है या किसी जमीन में ही जाता है, विच इज गोइंग टू रिचार्ज द ग्राउंड वाटर। तो जब गांव में आप देखोगे कि जहां इरिगेशन इज व्हाट, नथिंग बट सप्लाइंग वाटर टू द क्रॉप्स एट रेगुलर इंटरवल्स ऑफ टाइम। जब हम खेतों में बीच बीच में पानी देते रहते हैं तो दैट इज नोन एज योर इरिगेशन। तो कभी कभी क्या होता है, हम पाइप लगा के छोड़ दिए, दिन रात पानी उसमें जा ही रहा है, ठीक है, एक खेत से दूसरे खेत में या फिर रोड्स पे चला जा रहा है, गड्ढों में चला जा रहा है, ठीक है, वी आर नॉट लीस्ट बॉदर्ड अबाउट दैट। क्यों? क्योंकि हमें सफिशिएंट अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर वी आर गेटिंग इट। बट इफ वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू फॉलो द प्रॉपर इरिगेशन सिस्टम, मतलब इरिगेशन जब हम करते हैं तो मैक्सिमम वाटर हमारा क्या रहता है, वेस्ट हो जाता है। एंड सिंस मैक्सिमम वाटर is being wasted, okay, as a result of this it becomes very difficult for the people to store or to recharge the groundwater। Okay, the next is, or the last one is, that is we should grow crops that do not need too much water। Some such crops are sorghum, millets and your maize। sorghum maize हम सभी लोग जानते हैं, and that is your भुट्टा, और कॉर्न, इसको जोन्हरी भी बोलते हैं इसको कभी कभी हम। व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द मिलेट्स, सो मिलेट इज बेसिकली योर क्या बोलते हैं, बाजरे को बोलते हैं मिलेट्स। ओके, सॉर्गम इज योर चारा, जो हम गाय और भैंस को खिलाते हैं, दैट इज नोन एज योर सॉर्गम। ओके, सो चारा जो भी रहता है उन लोगों को बहुत ज़्यादा पानी की ज़रूरत नहीं होती है, एंड मिलेट इज नथिंग बट योर बाजरा ओनली। ठीक है, तो ये सब ऐसे क्रॉप्स हैं जिनको बहुत ज़्यादा पानी की ज़रूरत नहीं होती है। तो क्योंकि इनको पानी की ज़रूरत बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है, इसलिए इन्हें अगर हम लोग लगाते हैं, ठीक है, तो क्या रहता है, हमारा वाटर का कंजम्पशन थोड़ा सा कम रहता है। बट एज ऑल ऑफ अस वी नो दैट इज द फूड हैबिट्स एंड एवरीथिंग हैज बीन कंप्लीटली चेंज्ड हियर। अगर मैं आपको यहाँ पे कुछ और इंफॉर्मेशन बताऊं तो मतलब पहले के टाइम्स में, ठीक है, मतलब अगर आप लोग अपने मम्मी पापा के टाइम्स में बात करें या फिर अपने ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स के बाद टाइम्स में बात करेंगे, तो दैट इज़ अराउंड 50 ईयर्स और 100 ईयर्स, ठीक है, बहुत ज़्यादा वीट का प्रोडक्शन नहीं होता था। ठीक है, जहाँ तक मुझे पता है, ठीक है, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि हर जगह यही रूल एप्लीकेबल है, लेकिन जो मेरे साइड होता था या मेरे गाँव में होता था, तो जहाँ तक मम्मी लोगों इंसिडेंट शेयर करती हैं, तो करीबन 50 से 100 साल पहले क्या होते थे कि बहुत ज़्यादा वीट का प्रोडक्शन नहीं होता था। तो क्या होता था, घर में वही, ठीक है, बाजरे की ही रोटी बनती थी और जोन्हरी की रोटी, ये सारी चीज़ें बनती थी, और जब कोई गेस्ट आता था तभी उसके लिए गेहूं की रोटी बनती थी। तो दिस इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ देम। ओके, तो इसी तरीके से क्या है कि क्योंकि हमारे फूड हैबिट्स बदल चुके हैं, ओके, we need pulses, vegetables, rice and everything, chapati as well। Okay, so since our food habits have been changed, so we cannot depend just on millets or on sorghum. Sorghum is basically for your cattle only, okay, millets or your pulses or anything like that. We need different varieties of food, as a result of which pressure is being increased continuously on our agricultural lands। Okay, We should grow crops that do not need, okay, this one I have told. Rescue and the support, that is whenever the drought or the cyclone occurs, who are the people who used to come and protect us in as many possible ways as they are able to do there. That is when we are talking about the rescue and the support. So it is extremely important to provide help to those people who have been hit by a disaster. Okay, this disaster can be anything, whether it is your volcanic eruptions or your cyclone or your tsunami or your flood or drought or anything like that. Government set up relief funds to which we can donate money. ठीक है, हम लोग भी क्या करते हैं अपनी स्वेच्छा के अनुसार, मतलब अपनी अर्निंग के अनुसार हम मनी डोनेट करते हैं, so that these poor peoples, the people who have been affected by these natural disasters, they can get some or the other relief. The immediate steps that must be taken to reduce the suffering of the people are to look for and rescue people who are trapped in the affected building or area. मतलब सबसे पहले हम उन लोगों को बचाने की कोशिश करें जो उस नेचुरल डिजास्टर में फंस चुके हैं, किसी बिल्डिंग में फंसे हैं, कहीं सॉइल के नीचे दबे हैं, कोई धरती में ही चला गया है, कहीं पे भी, ठीक है, जिस टाइप का, कोई फ्लड में ही, ठीक है, तैर रहा है, ठीक है, फिर लेकिन जिंदा है. तो हमें सबसे पहले उन्हीं लोगों को बचाना रहता है कि द पीपल हु आर बीइंग ट्रैप्ड देयर. ट्रैप्ड का बेसिकली मीनिंग क्या है? जो फंस गए हैं. ओके, द नेक्स्ट वी हैव दैट इज योर टू गिव इमीडिएट मेडिकल हेल्प टू द इंजर्ड. ठीक है, अब क्योंकि वो लोग फंसे हुए हैं तो उनको थोड़ी सी चोट भी लगी होगी, सो वी शुड प्रोवाइड सम काइंड ऑफ मेडिकल हेल्प्स लाइक इन द फॉर्म ऑफ bandages, in the form of little bit of painkillers, or in the form of little bit of injections to provide relief or for the proper recovery of the wounds, whatever may be the most possible way. Okay, the next we have to provide relief such as dry rations, clothes, blankets, medicines, etc. to the affected people. That is we should provide dry ration. Dry ration means सूखा अनाज, दैट्स गेहूं है, चावल है, दाल है, ठीक है, ये सब क्या है? सूखा है. तो सूखा क्या है? ठीक है, इसीलिए सूखा भी बोलते हैं. अभी सूखा से याद आया, तो जब ड्रॉट है तो ड्रॉट को हम सूखा भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है, तो सूखा पड़ने पे यही सूखा अनाज ही दिया जाता है, दाल, चावल, ठीक है, गेहूं, so that it can be carried and it is going to last for a longer period of time, as they do not get affected by the action of bacteria or by the little bit of moisture. Clothes, ठीक है, क्योंकि कब किस सिचुएशन में आदमी अफेक्ट हुआ है कोई नहीं जानता है. कुछ लोग तैयारी करके अपने आप को बचा लेते हैं, कुछ लोग नहीं तैयारी कर पाते हैं, फंस जाते हैं. So in that case some kind of clothes are being also provided. Next we have that is your blankets. When we are talking about the blankets here, so blankets are, that is if in case that is they require blankets, if the conditions are being cold enough, okay, then they of course require the blankets. Medicines, so that the wounds can be recovered, they may become healthy, proper, and so that they are able to face some more what you can say adverse situations. Okay, the next is that is to prevent the outbreak of epidemics. क्योंकि अगर ये एपिडेमिक्स क्या है? ठीक है, एक ऐसी बीमारी, महामारी हम बोलते हैं इसको, एपिडेमिक्स को हिंदी में. जैसे एक बार हुआ था कि वो कॉलरा वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द एपिडेमिक डिसीज. ठीक है, हैजा को ही शायद हम कॉलरा बोलते हैं मोस्ट प्रोबेबली. ओके, सो व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन? दैट इज मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल वर गेटिंग अफेक्टेड बाय दिस कॉलरा and it was an outbreak of epidemics. मतलब कोई एक ऐसी डिसीज जो बहुत ही लार्ज नंबर ऑफ पीपल में अफेक्ट हो जाए, फैलती चली जाए, so that is known as your epidemic disease. When infectious diseases such as cholera, dysentery, typhoid, hepatitis, malaria and dengue fever spread rapidly among a large number of people, it is called an epidemic. कोई भी ऐसी बीमारी, communicable diseases, infectious diseases, when they get spread among a large number of people, it is known as your epidemic. Okay, अब epidemic से एक और वर्ड आता है endemic. ठीक है, इससे कंफ्यूज मत होइएगा आप लोग. Epidemic we have as well as we have endemic. Okay, so endemic का मतलब क्या होता है? ठीक है, endemic means all those organisms species, plants or animals which are restricted to a particular area. Okay, that is all those plants or animals which are present. Okay, so here it is basically who are they? Plants और एनिमल्स विच आर restricted और present in a particular area, मतलब एक किसी खास जगह पे ही वो लोग मिलते हैं और कहीं हर जगह पे वो लोग नहीं दिखाई देते हैं, तो दे आर नोन एज योर एंडेमिक प्लांट्स और एंडेमिक एनिमल्स. जैसे आप देखते हो कि टी का प्लांटेशन, ठीक है, कोल्डर रीजन्स में ही होता है. फ्रूट्स लाइक योर एप्पल एंड ऑल दीज, ठीक है, आपके यहीं पे होते हैं, क्या बोलते हैं, कोल्डर रीजन्स में ही होते हैं. तो क्यों हो रहे हैं? जस्ट बिकॉज द देयर एंडेमिक नेचर, ठीक है, वो खाली उसी हैबिटेट में सर्वाइव कर सकते हैं और कहीं सर्वाइव नहीं कर सकते हैं. ऑलराइट, next is that is natural disasters often lead to collection of garbage, lack of sanitation and widespread breeding of mosquitoes. This leads to outbreak of epidemics. ठीक है, अब नेचुरल डिजास्टर्स जब भी आते हैं तो क्या होता है, ठीक है, कलेक्शन ऑफ गार्बेज. गार्बेज इज व्हाट? नथिंग बट द वेस्ट मटेरियल्स. तो मतलब इसका पहाड़ टाइप का क्रिएट हो जाता है. जगह जगह क्या होते हैं, गार्बेजेस कलेक्ट हो जाते हैं, साफ सफाई की सुविधा नहीं रहती है, जिसके वजह से वाटर लॉगिंग भी कई जगह हो जाता है. एंड द मॉस्किटोज गेट अ प्रॉपर एनवायरमेंट फॉर देयर मल्टीप्लिकेशन ऑफ देयर नंबर्स, विच इज द रिजल्ट ऑफ द आउटब्रेक ऑफ एपिडेमिक. वाइड स्प्रेड मतलब लार्ज स्केल, आउटब्रेक मतलब ऐसी चीज जो एकाएक बहुत जल्दी से फैल जाए, जैसे योर just like your COVID. Okay, emergency kit, when we are talking about, so an emergency kit contains some basic supplies that you may need during an emergency. You can keep the following items in your kit: water, dry food, a battery powered radio, a candle, a lighter or a matchbox, a torch, extra batteries, first aid kit, a Swiss knife, a whistle means CT, a dust mask, okay, just like we have it now, medicines, and we have, that is, the moist wipes, garbage bags, some cash, local maps and cell phone with chargers. Okay, so when we are talking about the Swiss knife, so Swiss knife is what? Swiss knife is nothing but the short knives which gets folded and they are safe to keep it wherever we feel like. वो सारे आपने देखा भी होगा, ठीक है, वो सारे चाकू जिसको हम फोल्ड करके रख लेते हैं, ठीक है, कहीं से भी अच्छे से रख लेते हैं कि वो अंदर रहता है. फिर जब हम उसको ओपन करते हैं, जस्ट लाइक योर पेपर कटर, ठीक है, आप पेपर कटर को क्लोज कर देते हो तो वो हमेशा बंद रहता है, ठीक है, एंड इट इज नॉट डेंजरस, बट द मोमेंट यू ओपन इट, वेरी शार्प इनफ, वेरी डेंजरस. ओके, so these are the things which are present, okay, in the case of emergency kit, and they help us at the time of emergency. So this completes our chapter. Okay, these are the keywords. If you can see, again I had one of the request in the query session window कि sir आपने सब कुछ तो provide कर दिया है लेकिन keywords ही नहीं है, define the following terms ही नहीं है. So it is my humble request, beta, wherever the chapter PDF is given, in that case, in those PDFs only, the last page of the book PDF is having the keywords, that is, you define the following terms. So these are the 4 keywords: earthquake, seismology, seismograph and tsunami. Please write it down in your fair copies and start preparing it now. Okay, I hope we should start with the question answers as well. Okay, let us first see the time. Okay, already we have a little bit of time, so we will be able to complete little bit. Let us start with the very first one. Okay, so this one we have to we have already found out, that is, if you are able to see here, it is your drought. Okay, then you have your flood. This one is your flood. This is your earthquake. Okay, next you have tsunami. Cyclone हो गया, drought हो गया, flood हो गया, earthquake and your tsunami. That's it. Okay. Moving ahead with this, we have the checkpoints. Okay, checkpoints are not given in this chapter. Let us directly start with, let us answer. Okay, the very first one, that is during an earthquake, we should drop our knees because that prevents an earthquake? No. Stops the earthquake? No. Warns others about the earthquake? No. Prevents injuries from an earthquake? True. Okay, it prevents injuries from an earthquake. So the first one, the correct option will be D. Scientists who study earthquakes are called seismologists. Okay, if you remember, here only we have studied earthquakes when we are talking about okay, see you. Scientists who study earthquakes are known as seismologists. Cyclones can cause floods because they bring heavy rainfall, they come suddenly, they bring little rainfall, they bring strong winds. तो अभी आपने पढ़ा है कि cyclones are what? These are the strong moving winds or the storms basically. Okay, so I hope it should be your D option. Okay, third one is your A option. Okay, cyclones can cause flood because they bring heavy rainfall here. Okay, next is tsunamis occur when the sun shines very brightly, when it rains very heavily, when a severe storm develops over the sea, when there is an undersea earthquake. Okay, so in the case of this, that is when the earthquake occurs below the surface of the sea or the oceans, that results into the formation of tsunami. Okay, next we have, that is match the columns. The first one, earthquake, that is sudden shaking and trembling of the earth. C. Tsunami, that is your no rainfall, extreme shortage, large waves caused on the ocean floor by an earthquake. Floods, overflowing of river due to heavy rainfall. Drought, no rainfall for a longer period of time. E. Famine or famine, that is your fifth one, that is extreme shortage of food. Epidemic, infectious diseases that is spread among a large number of people. The first one is your C, second is A, third is your F, fourth one is your E, fifth is B, sixth one is D. Okay, the next is, that is write T for true and F for false. Correct the false statements as well. Okay, so an earthquake, let us alright, we will be able to do this true false. Okay, an earthquake that measures more than 7 on the Richter scale causes no damage. So this is false. If you would have remembered, that is if the intensity or the Richter scale is 1 to 2, we are not able to feel that, but when it becomes 3 to 4, it can be felt. Earthquakes that measure above 7, they cause widespread damage and destruction. Alright, so here is that is, this statement is false, and the correct statement would be, then an earthquake that measures more than 7 on the Richter scale causes huge damage or widespread damage. Scientists can now predict the exact place where an earthquake will occur. This is also, I hope, false only. Okay, we cannot predict the exact place. We can only predict the nearby places where the earthquake can occur. Okay, the next is, that is you should take shelter under a tree or a signboard during an earthquake. False. Okay, as in the case of earthquake, there are chances that the tree or a signboard may fall down, and if we are standing just below it, or if we are taking the shelter under a tree or a signboard, so we may get hurt, or we may even get below it or get buried, I cannot say, but we may get under this tree or a signboard, and it can cause huge damage to us. So we should not take shelter under a tree or a signboard. So this is also false, and the correct statement would be, you just have to add here, not here. That is, you should not take shelter under a tree or a signboard during an earthquake. A severe flood leads to shortage of food and drinking water. Okay, That is complete. A severe flood is leading to shortage of food and drinking water. Okay, this is here true here. Okay, but why? Because our fresh water gets contaminated by this flood water, which comes from many places, including the garbages, human waste, and various other kinds of waste here. Cyclones are accompanied by heavy rains. Extremely true here. Okay, just now if you can see, here was the cyclone. Cyclone, it is accompanied by strong winds and heavy rainfall in coastal areas. So cyclones are accompanied by strong winds and heavy rainfall. When a disaster occurs, we should stay calm. Okay, so this is also completely true. That is, we should not panic. हमें घबराना नहीं चाहिए, because at that time, if you are going to panic, then your mind will also stop working. So that is why when a disaster occurs, we should stay calm. That is, we should take some precautions in a more patient manner. All right. Give one word answer. The instrument used to record the Earth's movement during an earthquake. That is your seismograph, if you remember. Seismologist, scientist. Seismology, study of earthquake, and seismograph is the name of the instrument here. The most common disaster in monsoons, flood. Okay, all of us we know. That is, since in the monsoons heavy rainfall occurs, and if this heavy rainfall continues for a longer period of time, that results into the flood. The last part, that is very high ocean waves arising due to an earthquake or volcanic eruptions under the sea, that is your tsunami. Okay, so I hope, okay, enough time has been passed already. We have crossed the limits and everything. So in this way we have completed the objective type questions. We are only left behind with the question answers. So tomorrow I'll be discussing over the question answers, and thereby we will be going ahead with the I'll be providing you the writing portions and everything, and thereby we will be starting with our revision part as well. Okay, questions are most welcome. If you have any of the queries related to the explanation or anything like that, please do mention it in the query session window so that I'll be able to respond to it accordingly. Okay, so this was all for today. Thanks a lot for being with me, and have a superb day ahead. Thank you.